The council fire crackled at the center of the Apache camp, its orange flames casting long, trembling shadows across the gathered elders and warriors. Night had settled heavily over the land, and the air smelled of smoke, leather, and tension. Every man in the circle understood that this meeting was not about tradition alone, it was about survival. Too much blood had been spilled along the borderlands, and revenge now threatened to consume both Apache and settler alike. Chief Grey Wolf rose slowly to his feet. Age had bent his shoulders, but his presence still commanded silence. His eyes moved from face to face before stopping on the lone figure standing near the fire. Ayana, his daughter, stood tall and unflinching. She had ridden into battle, negotiated with rival tribes, and buried friends killed by rifles she had never held. Still, nothing she had done prepared her for what was coming. "Our enemies grow stronger each season," the chief said, his voice low but steady. "If we continue on this path, there will be nothing left for our children. Peace must be forged tonight, not tomorrow." Murmurs rose, quickly silenced by a raised hand. "The settlers demand a bond. They demand proof we will not strike again." Ayana's fingers curled into fists. She knew the meaning behind his words before he spoke them aloud. "You will choose one as your husband," Chief Grey Wolf declared. "Through marriage, peace will stand." Shock rippled through the council. Warriors stiffened, some in disbelief, others in anger. Ayana felt the weight of every stare press against her back, but she did not look away. Her gaze drifted instead to the edge of the firelight, where a lone prisoner stood guarded by two warriors. The cowboy's hands were bound, his clothes torn and dust-stained, yet he met the council's eyes without fear. His calm unsettled her more than any weapon. The choice formed in her mind with terrifying clarity. She stepped forward and raised her arm. "I choose him." Gasps exploded around the circle. The guards tightened their grip on the cowboy, and warriors shouted protests. Chief Grey Wolf's eyes widened, his face caught between fury and disbelief. "You point to the enemy?" he demanded. Ayana lowered her arm, but not her resolve. "I point to the man who walked into our land unarmed," she said. "The one who did not beg when captured. If peace is to mean anything, it must begin where hatred is strongest." The fire snapped sharply, sending sparks into the dark sky. In that moment, Ayana knew her life and the fate of two worlds had just changed forever. Jack Callahan stood stiffly near the dying fire, the echoes of the council's gasps still ringing in his ears. Of all the ways he had imagined his captivity ending, marriage to an Apache woman had never crossed his mind. His wrists ached where the ropes had been, newly freed but still marked, and his thoughts raced faster than any horse he had ever ridden. The woman who had chosen him, Ayana, stood a few steps away, her posture proud, her face unreadable, as if she had not just overturned the fate of two peoples with a single gesture. "This is madness," Jack said at last, his voice rough but steady. "You don't end wars by forcing strangers together." He glanced around at the warriors watching, him with open hostility. "I won't be paraded like some kind of offering." Ayana turned to face him fully. Firelight caught the sharp lines of her features, and for the first time he saw something beneath her calm, strain, and perhaps fear. "You think I wanted this?" she replied quietly. "Every path before me leads to death. I chose the one that delays it." Her words unsettled him more than the spears pointed in his direction. Jack had seen men fight for land, gold, and pride, but never had he seen someone gamble their entire future so coldly. "You don't know me," he said. "I could bring more trouble than peace." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I know you had a gun and did not use it. I know you spoke our language enough to ask for water instead of mercy. That is more than I know of many men." The chief's decision was final. Jack was no longer bound, but neither was he free. As night deepened, he and Ayana were told to remain near the fire. Watched from a distance, the camp settled into uneasy quiet, punctuated by the low murmur of voices and the distant howl of a coyote. For a long while, neither spoke. Then Jack broke the silence. "If I run, they'll hunt me. If I stay, your people will never trust me." Ayana stared into the flames. "Trust is not given here," she said. "It is endured." Jack exhaled slowly, the weight of her reality sinking in. He thought of the settlers who would call him a traitor and the outlaws who would see him as weak. He also thought of the bodies he had seen along the frontier, proof that hatred never asked permission before killing. "I don't like being ordered to marry," he said. "But I don't like war either." Ayana finally looked at him, her gaze steady and searching. "Then we share at least one truth," she said. In the flickering firelight, enemies sat side by side, bound not by love or trust, but by a fragile, dangerous hope neither was ready to name. Dawn had not yet broken when the camp stirred with uneasy movement. The air was sharp and cold, carrying the warning scent of dust and horses long before they were seen. Jack felt it first, years on the frontier having taught him to recognize danger before it announced itself. He rose from where he had been, sitting near the embers, and scanned the horizon just as distant silhouettes appeared against the pale line of the sky. Riders! Ayana emerged from her lodge moments later, fully dressed, her expression hardening as she followed his gaze. The warriors reacted swiftly, gripping spears and bows as the alarm spread through the camp. The riders approached without haste, their confidence more frightening than speed. As they drew closer, Jack recognized the man at their head, his stomach tightening. Clayton Mercer rode tall in the saddle, rifle slung across his back, a crooked smile carved into his face. He had never known when to stop pushing until something broke. Jack stepped forward instinctively, placing himself slightly in front of Ayana as the settlers reined in just beyond the camp's edge. "I've come for my man," Clayton called out. "You got no claim on him." Chief Grey Wolf moved to stand beside his daughter, his presence calm but unyielding. "He is no longer a prisoner," the chief said. "He stands under our protection." Clayton laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. "Protection?" His eyes slid to Ayana. "Or some twisted bargain?" Ayana stepped past Jack, her voice carrying clearly across the open ground. "He is bound to me. Any hand raised against him is raised against the Apache." The settlers shifted uneasily, hands hovering near their weapons. Clayton's gaze snapped back to Jack. "You'd choose this?" he sneered. "Living among people who'll turn on you the moment it suits them?" Jack felt the weight of every stare pressing on him. This was the moment he could step back, deny the bond, and let the fragile peace collapse. He thought of Ayana's resolve, of the quiet courage it had taken for her to make her choice before the council. "I already chose," Jack said, his voice firm, "and it wasn't you." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Clayton spat into the dust. "This isn't over," he warned, turning his horse. The riders followed, retreating with promises of vengeance hanging in the air. As the sun finally crested the horizon, the camp prepared for the ceremony. There was no celebration, only solemn acceptance. When Chief Grey Wolf joined Jack's hand with Ayana's, the weight of the moment settled heavily on them both. "You could still leave," Ayana whispered. Jack tightened his grip. "I won't," he replied. "Not now." As the morning light spread across the land, their union stood as a fragile line between war and peace. Unplanned, uncertain, and fiercely real,